Wrestling podcast never felt this great. Tables, ladders, chairs, they tell it all. From the highest highs to the lowest fall. Grit and glory tales from the ring. Every chant, every cheer they'll bring. Devon and the Duke bring the heat. Wrestling tales knock you off your seat. Tune in now, don't you be late. Wrestling podcast never felt this great.
Brothers and sisters, welcome back. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Devon The Duke podcast. This is a limited edition series hosted by your main man, Duke Loves Rasslin. And of course, the five-time Hall of Famer, the YouTube sensation, the man that sells out arenas to this day, Brother Devon Dudley. What's going on there, bro?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Listen, I'm living life and feeling great, man. And you know, every chance I get to sing your praises, you know I'm going to jump on that train there. So you're all right. We all right, you know? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I just battled something. I went to the doctor yesterday. My tonsils was angry, the doctor said. It was inflamed. I said, what, do I have to have get my tonsils removed? She goes, no, you don't have to do that. It's not consistently hurting me or inflamed. So I guess it's just a viral thing that I had, and I taken some moxicillin, and that's it. I took the first pill last night before I went to bed. You're supposed to take twice a day. I took one like 2 hours before I went to bed, and I could already feel the difference of how better my throat felt. So getting over this is probably something I've been dealing with for 6-7 days, and finally having some relief when I swallow. Man, it was killing me.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because when we last recorded, I even said it to you. I was like, man, your voice is kind of hoarse. So that's what it was, huh?
Yeah, that's what it was. My tonsils were inflamed. It was a viral thing. So, I mean, it happens. Listen, the kids bring it home, then you get it, you know. It's like, man, you wish you could bottle them at home and teach them home. But, you know, they got to get out and have social skills and be kids. So it is what it is.
It is what it is. I'll tell you, though, I'd rather have a broken bone than have an issue with my throat, because there's nothing you can do about the throat. You know what I mean?
No, there's nothing you can do.
It's like, damn, that's tough. And so now eating, drinking, breathing, laughing, all that stuff is affected. Man, that's tough. I'm glad you're on the mend, though.
Oh, yeah, I'm happy, too, because God, it hurt.
Yeah. Not to mention your voice box at this point. That's your real moneymaker right there. So.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, even this late in stage in my career.
Yeah. So we got to make sure we protect that, you know? Now, if one of my Jamaican cousins, or, you know, God rest her soul, my grandma Pearl, if she was on here, she'd tell you to drink some ginger tea. What do you got other than the medicine that you're doing over there?
I guess just praying.
Whatever works.
Whatever works, indeed.
Well, despite the fact that, you know, you were having some issues with your tonsils last week, nonetheless, man, we were on fire again. Devon the Duke, people just can't get enough of this show. At least 4 times again, which is very difficult to do. We were part of the major discussion in pro wrestling, and really crossed over into some mainstream discussion just about racism and you know, stuff that people are putting up with, setting the record straight. But I was pretty pleasantly surprised that our conversation about the new WWE superstar Aria Bennett, young lady who went public about the fact that she's been receiving some racist messages from people online, just randomly giving her a hard time, what have you. And you and I, we spent a few minutes of the episode talking about that, and you had brought up Hannah Kamara, the young lady who unfortunately committed suicide because of online harassment and what have you. And she was a wrestler in Japan and was becoming a big superstar.
Yeah.
Anyway, Aria Bennett reached out, thanking you, thanking me, thanking us for having her back, basically, because you didn't have to do that. And we spent some time. You know, it wasn't like we glossed over it, really dug into it, bro. So I want to get your thoughts on that. You know, the young wrestlers feeling like they're being supported by a Hall of Famer. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, man?
Going back to what you said, I'm very happy. Going back to what you said, that voices are being heard. And listen, we're not doing this for any other reason to get publicity or do anything like that. It's just that the nonsense has got to stop. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, like we said before, no one speaks in public unless they want people to hear their perspective on anything. But outside of that, especially with these sensitive topics, absolutely. The whole point is leave this young lady alone and really don't treat anybody like that.
I mean, if it
Those
was your mother, here's the deal. These people that are doing it, if it was your mother, if it was your sister or someone you cared about and truly loved, if somebody was doing that to you, you'd be ready to fight. You'd be ready to put a bullet in their head or jump them or what have you. But because there's no relation there, you feel like it's okay to talk to people like that and to act like that. And you really shouldn't. And it's not, oh, Devon, shut up. What the hell do you know? And blah, blah, blah. I know that I'm speaking the truth about it. If it was someone in your family that you genuinely love and somebody was doing that to them, you would not like it. So why do it? Just stop. It's just as simple as that. You don't have to be disrespectful. This is why I've always said, and not only me, but other people have said it too, social media is the worst thing. Because back in the day, if we had a gripe with a wrestler or someone in the entertainment business, you would get a pen and paper, write your griefs or whatever down, mail it and send it in. It's called fan mail. We can either read it or not read it, throw it in the garbage. But now social media has put it out there where now you can pretty much just get your, whatever your opinion heard and then not get other people to want to comment on it. For what? I just don't get this generation. I just don't, and I'm sorry. Call me old fashioned, call me out at the times. I just don't get it because our generation didn't do this. We didn't act like this. And if we did, you didn't know about it. I would be embarrassed with half the things that I hear and see what these people are doing. I could never do that.
it's one thing to like or dislike a wrestler, to boo them, to cheer them. You know, that's all above board. That's all part of the process. We understand that. You're commenting on the character that's being portrayed. You're not attacking the actual person that's portraying the character. But once we start getting into the sexism, the racism, and all that stuff there, give me a break. It's
Mm-hmm.
garbage. It's complete garbage, and it has no place. So, I saw something interesting, Devon, and I'm going to relate that to this because when we talk about fan overreach and where the line is, I want to get your take on this. Anthony Mackie, who is the most current Captain America, the actor, uh,
Mm-hmm.
brilliant actor, and really sharp guy. In fact, I'd love to have him on the show sometime because his perspective on life is pretty interesting, and I think it's in line for the most part with our perspective on life. Um, but I saw a video that just came out of somebody approaching Anthony while he was at a restaurant. He's having a meal and he's having a beer and relaxing, what have you. And I guess the guy wanted a picture with him or an autograph or something, and Anthony declined. And the guy took offense. Oh, sorry for being a fan, and like took offense to it. Here's my question to you, and I know this is a complex thing here. Where is the line where you're on your personal time? You're not working. You're not wrestling a match. You're not cutting a promo. You're not on TV. You're literally in a restaurant enjoying a meal. Where is the line where it's like, you know what, fans, during this period, you really just need to leave us alone because we're on personal time now. We're not working. I don't have to give you my time because it's my time. See me when I'm on the clock. Where is that line? Does it exist for you at all?
Well, definitely when I'm with my family. I think that's one. Number two, if I'm in the airports and I'm trying to get to my destination, leave me alone. In other words, and it's not just all the fans. It's those fans that show up at the airport with 9,000 things for you to sign, and you know why they're doing it. You know why they're doing it, but yet they get mad at you because you're telling them no. You're selling my likeness without even getting my permission or what have you to make money, to profit off of me, but I'm supposed to be okay with that. No, I'm not okay with it. And I think that's where with me, I draw the line a little bit because they do it all the time. They do it all the time there. And I'm just, I've had it with stuff like that. I really have. And so many other wrestlers have had it, not just me. I'm not just speaking. There's a lot of fans that won't, there's a lot of wrestlers that won't sign. They won't sign the stuff at the airports because number one, we know what you're doing with it. And number two, you're trying to make money off of us. And, where's our cut? You're using our likeness. WWE uses our likeness. Guess what? They got to pay us. So you use our likeness to make money. Where's our money? And then you get the ones that go, "Oh, I swear to God, I'm not going to sell this. I swear to you." It goes up in my living room on my wall. Okay, whatever, man. It's like, okay, whatever, man. You think you're pulling one over and you're not. That's the sad part about it. But it is what it is with these guys. And again, when you're out with the family, leave them alone. Don't bother them. Just leave them. Let them be, man. Just let them be.
Listen, the lady who I see at the grocery store, my cashier, if I see her in a different store, I'm not going to come up to her and say, "Hey, where are the eggs? Is milk on sale today?" You know what I mean? Like she's not working. She's in her personal time. Why am I bothering that person? I don't
Hmm.
understand why there is such a expectation put upon celebrities that you must be on at all times. I think it's rotten, you know, because we are degrading you folks and we're putting you in a position where basically you owe me something for the rest of your life. You always have to give me something, you know, because you're on TV and you're a star. And because I'm a fan of yours, that means that you owe me. I can interrupt you at any point, at any time, no matter what you're doing. Like you said, the airport, which is always stressful, especially these days, you don't need to be interrupted when you're trying to get from point A to point B. You've been
Yeah.
traveling, you're tired, you just want to get to where you need to get to safely without being
You know,
interrupted.
you know what's hilarious? I heard a story. I heard it a while ago, and I still use it to this day. Andre the Giant, who was loved by a lot of people and whatever, but he was out and about, and somebody came up to him and said, "Can I have an autograph?" And Andre said no, and he was like, "Well, that's not fair." Blah blah blah. Andre goes, "What do you mean it's not fair? Let me ask you a question. Did you go to the wrestling match tonight?" The guy goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, good." He was like, "Did you enjoy yourself?" He said, "Yes, I did." He goes, "You guys put on a hell of a show." He's like, "Well, then guess what? I did what I was supposed to do. I entertained you. So my job is done. I don't have to do anything from this point on. So signing autographs is extra. So you're telling me that I need to sign it? That's where I tell you no. Because I had already did my job as a wrestler. I entertained you. I gave you joy. I gave you your money's worth. Now leave me alone." And he was right about that in that aspect. Listen, it's a privilege if you come to us and ask us for an autograph and we give you one outside of the arenas or, outside the ring. I mean, it is what it is, but still, nobody wants to have a pen and paper shoved in their face and people taking pictures of them 24/7 like that.
We don't own you. Simple as that.
Mhm.
We as fans do not own you. And we need to realize that. Again, not a single one of you want to be forced to work during your personal time. It's just silly, you know. Now, and I know the humanoids and the dirt sheets, they're going to try to spin this. We're not talking about, little Billy or little Jasmine who comes up as a child, they want an autograph or they want a picture or something like that. I know 9 times out of 10, Devon, you're not going to turn those kids away. But these grown adults who are collectors and what have you, we know the game.
Those are the ones I'm turning away. But here's the sad part. Here's what they do. They'll bring the kids to the airports with them, give the kids the merchandise to walk up to us and ask us. And, it's like, you don't think we see the things going on? Bubba calls him out all the time. He goes, who are you here with? And the kid's not going to lie. He goes, that person right there, that person that's standing there watching them try to get this merchandise signed. And it's like, and Bubba's hilarious. He goes, hey, fuckface, come here. He goes, don't fucking try to get this kid to come up here and sign autographs so you can make money off of us. He was like, that's one. Number two, have the balls to come over here and ask us yourself. And don't put the shame on this little kid. Bubba was very good with that. Me, I wouldn't even give an explanation. I'd just be like, no. But again, if I see the kid, unfortunately, I was the one that signed it anyway because it was the kid. Couldn't tell the kids no. But, it was hard to do that because, again, you know what they're doing and you know why they're doing it. They're being put up to it. But a lot of times I would be like, Bubba, like, who you with? Because they're not there by themselves, so they're going to point out who they're with. And once they point them out, my thing is, I'm like, hey, come here for a second. And I start being like Bubba.
It's the only way they're going to learn, man. And I'm not talking about the kid, obviously. I'm talking about those adults. Only way they're going to learn.
No, the kids are great. I don't have any issues with the kids. It's the adults that we have the problem with. And again, dirt sheets can say whatever they want, but it ain't just me saying this. It's other wrestlers that are saying it because we're tired of it. We have every right to be tired of it. Yeah. We shouldn't have to deal with stuff like that.
And it becomes a safety issue too. I mean, poor Rhea Ripley, she's run into a couple of situations. Fans trying to follow her to her hotel room and things like that. Just crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, and that is crazy. I mean, Rhea doesn't deserve that, but it's again, even when I was there in WWE, there were certain crazies that were like, for instance, this one guy hit me up on my Cameo, where you can text people on Cameo too, and he basically was asking me, hey, Devon, can you help me meet Liv Morgan? I really want to meet Liv Morgan, and this and that, blah, blah, blah. I go, okay, number one, I don't do that. Yes, I am a producer for the company, but I can't have you sit up here and, I cannot do that. I'm sorry. You have to go through the proper personnel in WWE and ask and set up an autograph signing. I was like, but other than that, no, I cannot do that. And Devon, I'm a big fan of yours. I've been following you ever since ECW and blah, blah, blah. Just putting over everything that I've ever done and saying how much he's a big fan and he loves my work. So then I proceeded to say, thank you very much, but I cannot do that. I'm sorry. And then he proceeds to get mad. That's fucked up. All you do is care about yourself. You don't even care that me and Liv are going to get married. We're going to get married one day and this and that. I go, bro, please tell me you're joking with what you're texting me back right now. No, I'm not joking. Liv is my soulmate and we're going to make it. I'm like, dude, you need a straitjacket. Seriously. I was like, Liv is at the time, I was like, Liv is in a relationship. She's very happy and she doesn't need anybody interrupting in her or meddling in her business. Leave her and her man alone. No, it ain't going to last. She wants me. I'm like, how does she want you when you never met her? She just doesn't know it yet, Devon. Just like you. And I said, I had to look at myself in the mirror. I said, Devon, you are out of your mind going back and forth with this idiot. End this conversation now and just block him. That's exactly what I did.
You
And
you
I
know,
remember I remember telling Liv about it, and Liv, because there's a picture, you can see the guy and this and that. I showed the picture to Liv, and Liv was like, "Oh yeah, I know him. He's been bothering me, and what did she say? Stalking me for a long time now." And then the kid hit me up on Instagram or something like that. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go meet Liv and this and that. I'm gonna show you, Devon, that that she loves me and this and that." I immediately called John Cone in WWE. I said, "John, you guys need to handle this." I was like, "This guy is giving me scary vibes." I was like, he's determined to meet Liv and this and that. I think you need to make sure she has security with her because I don't want to see something bad happen. And they were like, okay, 10-4. And I called Liv and I told Liv, I said, "Liv, watch your back and this and that." And she said, "Oh yeah, they already told me that, what's going on. And I know this kid and so forth and so on." And they took the proper protocol to do what they did. And, I hadn't heard anything since, but this guy was crazy.
well, I'll give you an update. He was arrested earlier this year.
For,
He attempted to break into Liv's home,
holy
and
cow.
he had an air rifle, and he left a note, and then he showed up to the performance center a couple days later. So he was charged with burglary and interstate stalking.
Mm, mm, mm.
You were 100% right, bro. This guy was completely off his rocker and somebody they needed to pay attention to. You were completely right.
Oh yeah, he was going off on me because I went in to introduce him. That's messed up. I can't believe you wouldn't do this for me. I told you we're in love. I go, there's something really wrong with you, man. I was like, really something really bad wrong with you. I was like, Liv is not in love with you. She has a boyfriend. She loves her boyfriend. She loves her man. Leave her alone. And he just wouldn't listen. He wouldn't listen. I guess there you go, the results of it. I didn't know any of that. Because at that time, after that happened, I left the company and wasn't a producer anymore. So I didn't know anything about that. But that was a scary thing.
It's again, people got to get a grip because you know everyone's life is in jeopardy when we allow that type of stuff to go on. Kudos to Devon. Kudos to you, bro, for bringing it to WWE's attention, for alerting Liv. That's the right way to handle it. You know what I mean? You can't take it lightly
Yep.
because look at what the guy escalated into. You know, he actually made the move. He actually went to her house and tried to break in. So there it is.
And
Crazy.
it's like, what would he have done with that gun?
Well,
You
okay.
know?
You know, who was it? Didn't Mandy Rose had a and what was the young lady's name who's always with Mandy Rose? Sonia Deville.
Okay.
Sonia Deville had a stalker who showed up at her house, and it just so happened that Mandy Rose, who's her best friend, was over at the
Oh yeah, yeah.
time.
I remember that story.
You
I remember
remember
the story. Yeah.
guy had duct
I was with
tape.
the company at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, he had duct tape. He had all kind of stuff. He was probably going to kidnap her and do God knows what to her. You know, he had it all in his car, including weapons. So and he actually got in, didn't he? Didn't he get into one level of
He
her
broke
house?
in, yeah, and they went into a room, I think, and locked the door, something like that. I don't even remember the whole story, but yeah, I think he did get in.
Crazy, just completely crazy. But it's a reminder to everybody. This is the sort of stuff that the wrestlers and stars in general, celebrities in general, go through. So
Especially the females.
especially the females, goes double for
Hmm.
them.
Yeah,
So if you think, oh, it's just an autograph, why can't they just sign the autograph at 3 in the morning at the airport? It's like, look, buddy, it's all part of the same issue. They got to protect themselves. They're not on the clock. Leave them alone. You
hmm.
can go to a convention. You can go to one of the damn Fanatics Fest or whatever. And, you could go to a WWE live event, pay the VIP package where you can meet everybody and get all the autographs and all the pictures you want.
Right.
You know, it exists. The mechanism to accomplish the goal that you want so bad actually exists. Why can't you play by the rules?
Because they feel like they shouldn't.
Yeah. They feel they own you.
Yep.
They feel they own you and you owe them something, which is crazy, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Because putting your body on the line for us to entertain
It's
us
not
is
good
not
enough.
enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had back surgery, you survived a stroke, you've had countless injuries, all to entertain us, and we still need more from you?
Mm-hmm.
Insane. Insane.
It totally is insane.
And disappointing. Speaking of insane, and I, I'm gonna bring this up because I know you'll be able to further set the record straight on this, but very disappointing. Some random page online posted, and I quote, sources in WWE have said that Paul Heyman refuses to work with Carmelo Hayes. Couldn't even look him in the eyes during a meeting in creative, and Heyman pitched Logan Paul to be part of the vision instead. Man, this fat pig really is racist. So hold on. Let me give you this other part of it now. Carmelo Hayes, to his credit, I don't even know how he saw this message, but he did, and immediately said, I don't know what you were trying to accomplish with this bullshit. This couldn't be further from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Good for
D-Wall,
him.
you are somebody who has been under the learning tree of Paul Heyman. He was your promoter, your mentor, um, not only in ECW where you got your big break, but in the WWE, etc. You're a black man. You're one of the most accomplished black men in the history of pro wrestling. You and Booker T literally are at the top of the mountain as it pertains to accomplishing the most. So when you reflect back on Paul Heyman, is racist a word that ever comes to mind?
Far from it. Paul Heyman was probably one of the not like couldn't care less about race. It was one of those things where if he knew you could make money, he was pushing the hell out of you. He didn't give you a black or white. If anything, Paul was there for so many African Americans in the business. Myself, Two Cold Scorpio. Look at what he did for New Jack during the trial. The what's the name trial? The mass transit. I mean, Mustafa. I mean, the list goes on and on. Never once have I ever heard of Paul Heyman being racist or doing something racist. The man has made so many careers come true, not only for white wrestlers, but black wrestlers, Latino wrestlers, every wrestler you could think of. If you could wrestle, you had talent, Paul was pushing you. Paul was making it. Don't sit up there and make lies like that. This is what I mean. These fans don't get it. They don't understand. Just because you see us on TV doesn't mean that you have the right to say what you want to say like that. And it's wrong.
It's completely wrong and it's completely ridiculous. Heyman of all people, the guy that embraced pop culture to a degree that like we'd never seen. He forced the wrestling industry to lean more into not only alternative rock music but hip hop.
Absolutely. I mean, look at what he did for the Public Enemy.
Absolutely. And he had to deal with Tommy Boy Records to be able to play hip hop songs on ECW.
Absolutely.
Like, you know,
Absolutely.
so the man furthered culture on a level that forced the entire industry to follow suit. That's a racist? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. You know,
Like I
it's
said,
embarrassing.
I said it before, the whole thing with with the JR thing, he was there for me, you know. when it was all said and done, he was like, listen, don't worry about that. He was like, let that go in one hand, go out the other. You handled it good. Don't worry about that. These people will not be able to touch you and your career. This is what he told me back then. And he was right. I'm not trying to bring up anything else, but the whole situation that I went through, it hurt. It bothered me, but, I got over it and I went and did my thing. And they still couldn't hurt me. So, for this guy to say this about Paul, farther from the truth.
Yeah, I, it's unfortunate that you even have to give attention to something like that, but kudos to Carmelo Hayes. He saw it, he immediately addressed it, shut it down, and I just, people just trying to create problems that don't exist with people who are the least problematic people that you could deal with. Paul Heyman, come on, man, come on, don't do that. So shout out to Paul. People who know you have your back and are speaking up, which is great. So, WWE has a new return behind the scenes, of course. Chavo Guerrero has re-signed with the WWE. He just made that publicly known. Not sure what Chavo is going to be doing, but I'm sure backstage and also with the expansion with AAA and things like that, there's certainly plenty that Chavo can do. What are your thoughts on Chavo, man? You've known him for a long time, right?
Yeah, I think it's great. But like you said, what is it? What's the name of the
AAA?
Latin AAA with AAA? I think absolutely he can be a tremendous hand for the company. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Chavo worked with them a few times, so it's kind of like he knows the ins and outs. And he can be, like I said, he can be a tremendous person to be the in-between guy for that place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's Chavo's so talented, man, and always has been. You come from that lineage. It's great. It's great that he's back in the fold in WWE in any capacity. That's really the way it should be. Because he has a lot of knowledge to pass down and what have you there. You see Dom Mysterio carrying on the Guerrero legacy in his own way, with the Eddie mullet and the mustache and all that stuff and the mannerisms. But Dom had a match with John Cena on Monday Night Raw that was so incredible. And you're a guy who has spent a lot of time with Cena. You've worked with Cena, et cetera, both in tag matches, individually. Reverend Devon and Cena had a nice feud going on. You've been a producer, so you've been in that capacity, bro. Dom Mysterio slowed himself down enough to be able to tell a solid story with John Cena in that match. And Cena, I'm gonna say it. He was winded. Of course he was. A lot of miles on that body. He was winded. But Dom did what he was supposed to do, played the hero role perfectly, and in the end, had the crowd on their feet and did the honors right in the middle of the ring in the end. It was an incredible match.
One of the things you said, he was winded. And yeah, the great thing about it is that was one of the things that scared me when I got back in the ring, is that would I be able to hold my wind, regardless of all the training I was doing. I was nervous because training and being inside the ring are two different things. And when you're out there, not only are you dealing with the crowd and all of that, but you're dealing with your emotional standpoint from that point. And, nerves kick in, this and that. Sometimes you don't blow up in the chest, you blow up in the mind. And if that takes place, then, you have to be prepared for it. So I was nervous about it. And I can't blame John if he was blowing up, because, again, it's not easy. When you're in your 50s, it's a different story. It's a different ball game. You ain't 20 no more. So, you gotta suck it up. And John did just that. Even if he was winded, Looked like he did a hell of a job. I didn't see the match. I saw clippings, but it looked good.
It was a great match. A lot of throwbacks to Eddie Guerrero and what have you. Great match. Dom is a star, man. I mean that's if you never seen a Dom Mysterio match since he's been on this run that he's on now, that match with Cena where he lost the Dom lost the Intercontinental title to Cena, that was perfect. Perfect. And I think it elevated Dom Mysterio, quite frankly, even though he lost the match. You know, 28 years old. How the hell is Cena going to, be able to run around the ring with a kid like that? But it worked. It worked, man. And Cena gets his first IC title. Did you realize Cena had never been Intercontinental Champion before?
No, yes, I did know it because he had the U.S. title for the longest when he first came into the company and he started winning titles. His first one was the U.S. title,
And then he went
if
up
I'm not
top from there.
mistaken.
And then he went up top to world champion from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely
Remember,
right.
the IC belt sometimes was built to get you ready for the heavyweight championship. So many people went that route, went the IC first, then the heavyweight. The only person that I wish that would have been able to have a run with that, actually a couple of people. One was Ricky Steamboat, which never got the opportunity to become world champion. Another one, Ravishing Rick Rude, which I thought should have definitely won the heavyweight title. And Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig.
And it's funny, all those guys that you mentioned were at one time the best wrestlers in the company.
Absolutely. That's why I said, and especially Rick Rude.
Yeah.
Oh
By
my
far.
God. Went to WCW and won the title there.
Yep.
But he could have won in the WWE, but for whatever reason, Vince didn't see it that way.
He was stuck on Warrior, which turned out to be a bad idea. Rick Rude versus Hulk Hogan eventually could have been a huge WrestleMania match.
Now, I don't know to be true. Did I hear I think I heard rumblings. And please, fans, correct me if I'm wrong, but was Hogan a little intimidated working with Rude?
Yeah, he was afraid that Rude would shoot on him if he did the wrong thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Hogan always respected Rude's toughness, and when Rude passed away, Hogan never shied away from talking about how great of a wrestler Rude was and how great he made his opponents look. But the truth is, Hogan didn't want to be in a situation where Rude would have to straighten him out because Rude did have a temper. Rude and Rude was he was a arm wrestler with a hand that if he slapped you with that hand, you could forget about it.
It was over.
And he wasn't a big guy. He really wasn't a big guy.
He was tall. Well, when he was in ECW, he was tall. I remember that. He was thick, but he was well built.
Yep.
He was well built from the chest to the legs, the back. Definitely, he was more defined than anything. But he was rock hard, solid. He would work out with us in the ring, trying to help teach the younger guys in ECW how the business works, especially as a heel. And he would get in there. You would lock up. You could feel the power. You could definitely feel the power in Rude. Absolutely. There was a clip I saw. Somebody got out of line with Rude, or I don't know, somebody got out of line, or
it was
pissed Rude
WCW.
off.
Yeah,
WCW,
the guy
he beat the hell out of him, right?
He beat the hell out of him because the guy wasn't listening. the guy stiffed him at one point early in the match, and Rude just beat the life out of him. I mean, God.
That sounds like Braun Strowman with Brock Lesnar when he was rushing and Brock kept telling him to slow down and he didn't slow down. And then all of a sudden Brock gave him that freaking right cross right on the chin. Wow.
And dropped him to his knees.
Dropped him to his knees.
No, and you know what's funny? I saw an interview with Strowman, and listen, I'm not taking a shot at you, Brian. I get a kick out of you, but Strowman said, "Well, I'm the only guy that could take a punch from Brock Lesnar and not be knocked out." And I'm saying to myself, first of all, he didn't hit you as hard as he could. Number one, and number two, if he would have hit you with another one or two of those, brother,
Yeah, he would have been gone because there would have been nothing. Listen, Braun's a big boy, but there would have been nothing Braun could have done to stop that beast.
no,
There'd have been
absolutely
nothing.
not. Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Vince wasn't stopping him.
Nope.
Shane wasn't stopping him. Laurinaitis wasn't stopping him. Nobody would have stopped Brock if Brock would have really wanted to go off on Strowman. I think we can all agree on that because I mean, again, Brock is a beast. He's
Yeah.
even a beast now.
Yeah. That's a bad man. That's a bad
Mm.
man. That's the only man other than Haku and Harley Race who those three you could mention in the same sentence. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Then there's another level after that. But no,
It's
those
like
guys.
it's like you put those guys like you just mentioned. Who'd you just mention?
Harley Race and Haku.
I look at it like those guys are like George Foreman and Joe Frazier.
Yeah.
Those are Joe Frazier that era. And then you got Mike Tyson, who's Brock.
Yep.
The power, the speed,
Yep.
just the overall thickness and built of him. It was like Tyson coming back in the 80s and 90s. That's exactly what it's like for Brock right now.
And what's scary about that is, when Brock first started, he was in there with The Rock and Kurt Angle and obviously Big Show, those guys. But today, he still is. I think he's even more dangerous today than he was back then.
Mm-hmm.
Because Brock is old enough not to give a damn.
He does what he wants, when he wants, and how he wants.
Yeah. Yeah. When he was younger, he didn't even know his own strength. Now he knows for sure. So, take that for what it's worth. But man,
Exactly.
that's something else there. Survivor Series is coming up. And I was thinking about this because you've had so many great moments at Survivor Series, including the Dudley boys reuniting. I think that was back in 2002. Yep.
Yeah, we had a lot of great times at Survivor Series. We beat Edge and Christian for the title. We had the Survivor Series where we were on Team Stone Cold Steve Austin's team against Bischoff and his team. We had a lot of memorable moments, at Survivor Series. Great history. But you know which one? And I know we're going off the topic here, but you know what I really like. If people say you had any regrets, Devon, since you left the wrestling business, what's one of your regrets? My regrets is I never got to be in a Royal Rumble.
What?
Never got to be in the Royal Rumble. Anytime the Royal Rumble came around and we were in WWE, we were always defending the title. I was never in the Royal Rumble. Bubba got the one chance to be in the Royal Rumble, and that was it. But I never got the chance.
Wow.
That was one of the things that I've always wanted. I said, and I even said it when I was a producer, hoping that Vince would put me in the Rumble, but he never did, which is fine. It's okay. Listen, you don't get everything you want. I got to leave on my own terms. I got to leave the way I left. Leave it at that. Leave it at that. I'm okay. Besides, I don't know how to go over that top rope anyway anymore, so I don't need to be in the Royal Rumble.
I was just about to ask you that. Can you make it over the top rope?
Because Lord knows I ain't winning the Royal Rumble. So,
well, listen, you might have to win whether they want you to or not.
Yeah. Listen, hell will freeze over 5 times if the WWE even put me in a Royal Rumble, won, and then said I was winning. That will never happen.
Well, listen, can you imagine whether it be Brock or Omos or what's the kid, Braun Breaker, one of those guys tossing you out over that top rope? I don't know, Devon. I don't know.
Well, it's bye-bye Devon. If it was 25, 30 years ago, I'd be like, okay, I got a chance. But, I'm older now, man. I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You might have to eliminate yourself. A couple people have done that before.
Hey, I don't mind doing that.
That is a piece of
Mhm.
history right there, though. You were never in the Royal Rumble.
Never
Wow,
in the Royal Rumble.
man, make that a Jeopardy category there. Wow, that's something. That's
Yep.
something. Listen, man, as we wind down, I have to ask you this question because last episode, the biggest story that came out of it was you making it very clear that Tony Khan and QT Marshall can kiss your backside. And, for different reasons, but at the end of the day, it still comes back to the same thing. So it went viral, discussed all over the internet, everyone talking about it, so many messages and all this good stuff. I was surprised that, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised, people really weren't that curious about why you were talking further about Tony Khan because you're telling the story about how the guy basically wasted your time, which makes sense. But I got to ask you, have you received any calls or any messages about your comments, either about Tony or QT?
Well, QT had called. He reached out to me, and yeah, he said he didn't understand why I felt the way I felt, and that somebody was giving me wrong information. This is through a text message. I told him I didn't believe that. I said I believed that what they told me was the truth, and there was more than one person that told me the things that they told me, and they all can't have the same story. Somebody's lying. So if you take how many people that told me what he said, and then him, and he's got his story stands with what he says, but all the other people are telling me different, I'm going to go with the other people. And I told him, I said, I don't buy it at all. And he was like, I would love to talk to you face to face, and iron this out, he said. And I said, well, don't worry. The next time I talk to you, we'll be face to face. Not trying to insinuate violence or anything, but there's no reason to go back and forth in text message or even on the phone talking about this. I'd rather see you live and see your face and to see if you're telling the truth by just looking at you. So, it is what it is. But at the same token, you know, I don't like to really want to touch with Tony anymore because, again, it makes no sense. But, I'm not going to be somebody that's going to kiss somebody's ass because they got money and they own a company. And, again, I don't care. And I read some comments that I'm probably saying the things I'm saying because he didn't hire my boys full time. That's not it at all. I didn't want them to go to AEW in the first place because I thought they were going to be lost in the shuffle. I'd rather them go to NXT and work down there with Sean and Matt Bloom and them and Terry Taylor and Fit Finley. Minds that I know I can trust that will lead my sons in the right direction. It was their doing that they wanted to be go to AEW. But again, that's not my choice. That's their choice. They got to make their own choices as men. I can say how I feel, but don't mean you got to follow what I say. So it had nothing to do with that with my boys. My beef with him was, again, having me show up at the arena at 11 o'clock in the morning and then not seeing me until 3 in the afternoon. Listen, it could have been as easy as a 2 or 3 minute meeting. Hey, we would love to have you as a producer. When can you start? Or, hey, we would love to give you a tryout or something. You want to do something today? Boom, that's it. Then go on about your business. But don't leave me waiting around like some damn young boy. That was the issue I had. And I understand you're a very busy man. I get it. But again, you wouldn't have done that with anybody else that was a name in this business. But you didn't care. So I don't care about you. It's as simple as that. It has nothing to do with my boys. And again, it had nothing to do with wanting to be in the company AEW. Remember, guys, before you make your comments online about, oh, Devon's mad because he didn't hire his sons, or Devon's mad because he didn't get picked as to work at AEW. I didn't want to work for AEW in front of the camera. I wanted to work behind the camera. I didn't want to work in front of the camera. So that's the big difference right there. And number two, don't call me. I was reached out. QT Marshall was the one that reached out to me and told me that Tony was interested. Okay, I got my agent. We called their people called us, and we set up the meeting. So I didn't reach out to them. They reached out to me. So before you start going off on social media because you think I'm belittling or you think that I'm saying something wrong about your boy, think again. I'm not saying anything bad about him. I went on record numerous times, correct me if I'm wrong, Duke, saying that I have no beef with Tony. I have no beef whatsoever. I didn't care. I have no beef with him. I don't think he's a bad guy. I just didn't think that he should be running the company. I think he should be the money guy, and that's it. And let those with real um, skill, if you want to use that word, in terms of running a company and storylines, let them make the major decisions. It's almost like give somebody creative control that knows what they're doing, and you become the Linda McMahon. And what I don't mean as an insult. In other words, Linda handled the ongoing, outgoing, I guess you could say, things in the WWE/WWF at the time. She was the one that made a lot of major decisions business wise. Vince handled creative, you know? So that's all I'm saying. Give somebody the role to handle with Vince being creative. You handle the business aspect of it. I'm not saying anything wrong. I'm saying what is right.
Absolutely. Somebody said something interesting to me. And I'm not going to say on air who it was that said it, but somebody who would have some insight. They said, so think about this. Tony made Devon wait for him to finish partying, and then he met with him.
Wow. I didn't even look at it that way.
Because Tony himself talked about the fact that he used to be a bartender. So he always carries a backpack with all his things that he needs, and he's quick to make a drink for somebody and all that good stuff there. We've heard about the party lifestyle and all that stuff in that company. If you were there at 11 a.m. and their wrestling program pretty much ends between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m., but yet you still had to wait until 2, 3 in the morning before the man would even sit down and have a real conversation with you. Was he making you wait until after he was getting his partying in? Like, what the hell's going on here? So I don't know.
Who knows, Duke?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Here's what I'll say, though. QT Marshall is somebody that you trained, you and Bubba. He comes from your learning tree, for better or for worse. He's a guy who is in an influential spot in the business, for better or for worse. And at least partially that's due to the excellent training that he received. All I'll say is I hope there is a path for this guy to truly apologize and be honest about what happened, and at least give you the space, once he's completely honest, for you to do what you always do, which is forgive. But the honesty has to be there first. So QT, since I know you're listening, just be honest, bro. This is your coach, somebody who always had your back and looked out for you. And what you did was you kind of broke the guy's heart. It's as simple as that. I know some fans listening go, well, I want to know what really happened. What's all the detail? You don't need that. You don't need that. Some things don't need to be said publicly. And that's up to Devon if he wants to go deeper in that degree. But again, make it possible for forgiveness to begin. But it doesn't begin until we lead with honesty. And I'll just leave it at that. Devon, correct me if I'm misspeaking on that one.
I think you're accurate. Listen, I'm not trying to hate anybody. If anybody knows me, I got along with everybody. I've never had issues with anybody my whole career, with the exception of New Jack, I should say. But we even made up and realized that what we were fighting over was stupid. And this whole thing was just dumb. It didn't have to play out the way it did. It's about respect. I'm sure he doesn't want to be disrespected, just like I don't want to be disrespected. So let's not do that. Let's not disrespect each other. Let's just move on from this and admit that we messed up, and that's it. All is forgiven. But if you're gonna sit there and try to make lies about things, then that's where I draw the line. And that's when I'm like, all right, F this. Nope. Nope. Now I'm gonna go off.
And listen, as somebody who knows a lot of QT's students, I know a lot of them, and he knows I know a lot of them. He is a lot more like Bubba than he is like Devon. He is quick to cuss you out if he feels like you're going the wrong way. So for me, on the outside looking in, there's a lot of irony here because he would never put up with one of his students doing what he did to you. And I guess that's the part that pisses me off a little bit because it's like, come on, bro, you know you're wrong. Just fall on the sword, treat your coach right. You know this guy's going to forgive you if you come the right way. So let's just get there, So I'll leave it at that. But would be remiss if we didn't bring it up because, again, that was a hot one. And the fact that the guy called you says it all, or he texted you says it all. That tells you how hot it was. He couldn't get away from it. So it is what it is. Anyway, Devon, what's the best way anyone listening can keep up with you, get some of that fantastic top shelf training, the whole 9 yards there?
You can get in touch with me on social media at Testify Devon, or even Twitter. DM me on Twitter if you want to, because I really don't go on Twitter that much, only to see if I'm trending. And also my YouTube channel at Devon Dudley YouTube. Again, check out some of the videos we got on there. The documentary that we did that hit last week is doing tremendous numbers. And it's a must see. It's a must watch. Everybody's enjoying it when they see it. So I'm very proud of that and hope that everybody who hasn't listened who hasn't watched it will go watch it and put your likes and all of that underneath and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done that.
Fantastic documentary, legitimately the definitive Devon Dudley documentary. So well done. Shout out to those guys who put it together once again, because it was great. Great watch. Folks, as always, Duke Loves Rasslin on Gmail, on X, Duke Loves Rasslin, Facebook, the whole 9 yards. Let me know what you think of this show, questions, all that good stuff there. As you can hear, we're not stopping anytime soon. I mean, it's been so many years that Devon Dudley has been careful and made sure that he didn't fully express how he was feeling all the time because, business is business. But he is in a position now with all that he's accomplished that he's giving us the full scope of how he feels and some of the things he's experienced throughout his career. And why shouldn't he, the man who lived it, tell his own story? So I'm going to keep beating that drum for all you folks out there who say, well, that was 20 years ago. Why is he bringing it up now? You're the same people who send in questions about ECW and what's his favorite match or what was it like training and all that. You're the same people asking those questions. But when he tells you about something or about someone that you like and you didn't want to hear that, suddenly it's why is he bringing that up now? It's because he lived it. It's his life. It's his story to tell. And everybody else is telling their story, so why can't Devon? So please bear that in mind, folks, when you listen. This is first-hand account from the man that lived it. Simple as that. Anyway, Word of the week, my brother. What do you got for us?
Word of the week. Be kind to those who you think won't get back to you. Because karma's a bitch, and the year 225 is the year of karma, which will bite everybody in the ass if you deserve it.
That's some philosophical stuff if I ever heard it, baby. Testify.
Testify, my brother.
Strictly for the culture every day. Stepping style in your unique way. Patterns and colors so divine. All about the perfect line. Be yourself, let your spirit fly. In this fashion, you'll touch the sky. Strictly for the culture, brand so fine. Dress to impress and show your shine. Strictly for the culture, every day. Step in style in your unique way.
visit www.strictlyfortheculture.ca.
Backstage whispers and the crowds roar. From matching giants to legends of yore. Devon's wisdom and Duke's keen view. Every episode feels like it's brand new. Devon and the Duke bring the heat. Wrestling tales knock you off your seat. Tune in now, don't you be late. Wrestling podcast never fails.